Thanks for joining us for another episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We're back post-draft to have a look at the winners and losers of the 2024 NFL Draft. The exciting 3 days in Detroit is over. We've let it breathe for a couple of days. Now we're going to have a look back. We ran through the first round of the draft with our live stream. So if you watched us on Thursday, appreciate you. Crazy that 200 people choose to join us. That clearly had nothing better to do, but we appreciate you. And we had a great time. And then the draft rolled into Friday and Saturday with rounds 2 through 7. And we're here to talk through the winners and losers. Before we start with that, as always, give us a follow. Good Teams and Great Teams Cover over on Spotify. Also at GTW_GTC on Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, where I promise you we will start getting some clips uploaded in the near future. Joe, Byron, we were together for the first round of the draft, but not for the rest of it. How did you enjoy rounds 2 through 7 on Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, I generally sit and watch basically all of it, even through all of rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7 when it gets a little wacky at times. See if the dog's going to pee on Daniel Jeremiah's shirt again. See how many Army veterans or military veterans will make a pick. How many foreign soccer players? Karl-Heinz Riedler was up there making a pick, which was an unusual name to see on draft weekend. But yeah, I think kind of the wackiness kind of plays into it. Some of the international fans of the year making picks, which was a lot of fun, a lot of high energy people, which was great. And yeah, it's just a real fun experience seeing all the players reacting and learning about players that I think we do a good job of covering the top 50 maybe prospects, but yeah, certainly once you get past 150, I'm kind of out of my comfort zone other than the fantasy relevant players. So yeah, it's fun seeing like stories come through of like players' backgrounds and such like. So yeah, I had a blast.
Excellent, good stuff. Yeah, the international fans of the year were some pretty good ones in there. Shout out to Fraser, who was our Jets guy for our fans on the clock draft. He was there in Detroit. He made the pick for the New York Jets. I want to say it was round 4. I've got the pick. I've watched it. It was awesome. Just great to see the guys getting up there having fun as well. Really good stuff. Joe, how was Friday and Saturday for you? Happy how it finished up for the Niners for you?
Yeah, it was like I certainly enjoyed Friday. I watched most of Friday, the second and third round, because it feels like they could be day one kind of players get into it. I was in and out the on the Saturday just because it was more or less in the daytime, got things to do. But keep up to date, and you just like look about players who could be, is this going to be the next Richard Sherman? And looking into it, like who's the next available player, and then suddenly they choose like 70, like a player 70 down from there. So it's all, especially that last two, like round 6 and 7, it's just no idea, but fingers crossed to turn something good. But yeah, overall, and I'm pretty happy with the Niners picks. I think what most of the things like a grade B, which I think's fair. I don't think they did anything outstanding, but very happy and see where it takes them.
Hard to improve that team that's already as good as it is. Some of us don't have that luxury. I'm sure we'll get to that. We're going to run around doing kind of a talk about a winner or two each in terms of the teams from the draft, a loser or two each, and then we're going to share a very, very early Super Bowl 50. Oh shit, what are we on? 59? Is that what it is?
I'm so bad with this kind of thing.
I think it's 59, isn't it? Yeah. No,
I'll take your word for it. I'm terrible. I know the Bears won it in 1985/86, and that was 20. If you can work out from there. Yeah, so it will be a 9 because it'll be in 25.
Yeah, it's Super Bowl 59. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I don't know why Super Bowl 20 is the only one that sticks in my head. I was just born. But yeah, I always remember that was Super Bowl 20, and I don't remember like any of the ones I've been alive for because I just remember the year it happened. But yeah, it will be 59 then.
It will be 59
between us.
In New Orleans, yeah, and we're experts apparently. Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. In February, so yes, we'll have our very early prediction. My camera keeps freezing in terrible positions, so this is going to be fun. Nobody crop that. But let's start with some winners. Joe, do you want to give us first? Who's kind of your big winner? Which team do you think kind of, in your eyes, had the best weekend from a draft perspective, or best week?
Well, yeah, so I think it's with the draft, it's all about changing your fortunes. And I think the most obvious one, which I think everyone's saying, is probably with Byron's mentioned, like the Chicago Bears, just because they've got their quarterback for the future. He was a consensus number one. We talked about this on draft night. It was fairly obvious where they were going to go throughout the draft process. So I think the Bears themselves just makes them so much more exciting. It's a team now, you look forward to seeing next year. Like, you look at their list, which hasn't been the case the last few years. They managed to get a top end, like one of the top 3 wide receivers as well, which I don't think anyone predicted it was going to slide to number 9, but they managed to get him. And I think they're just set up because I think like I mentioned, with the draft, it's really the first 3 rounds where you're looking to get them blue chip players to change a franchise. You might get lucky with the later rounds, but it's all about the first few picks. And you just look at like you said, top 2. They've got the best quarterback, and arguably, if Odunze came out any other year, he would be the number 1 wide receiver as well. So I think they've just hit on that, and they've just become, an exciting team where hopefully they have a 4,000-yard quarterback, and they can actually look forward to next year. And especially with that division, I think that division's actually improved quite a lot, where it could be one of the best divisions next year. It's made them relevant and made them exciting to watch. And yeah, looking forward to seeing the Bears next year, which I haven't said the last few.
Excellent. Yeah, I think, we talked our consensus number 1. I've had my criticisms of Caleb Williams, but it certainly seems... What is that? Is that outside your apartment, Byron? It's like there's a rally car competition going on outside. Apologies for that. Having criticism. Yeah, consensus number 1. As weeks, Bears definitely did have a good week, but they only made 5 picks, and one of them was a punter.
I mean, not just a punter, let's be fair. Iowa's punter.
Iowa's punter.
If anyone knows how to kick a ball, it's that guy, right? He's their best offensive weapon.
Yes, which is the point I was going to make around... I believe they punted for like something close to 4,500 yards last year, and only passed for 1,600 yards in 13 college football games. I don't know how it's possible, but yeah, he's certainly. Sounds
like he's gone to the right franchise historically.
Yeah, I mean, has he? But the problem is, has the punter got too much experience? Is that leg blown out? Yeah.
Well, Caleb Williams did text him immediately and said, "Hey, you don't need to punt as much anymore," which might come across as hubris, but I mean, it's probably true. If any NFL team's punting 3 times more yards than their throw-in, Matt Eberflus won't be in the job next year. You're not going to get by on your great punter, or he's got to be some punter if they are. Montez Sweat's going to have to get like 30, safeties, and I don't think that's going to be the case.
Torrey Taylor hopefully doesn't have as much work as he did for the Iowa Hawkeyes last year. Anything. Obviously, there was the headline of Williams and Odunze. You see too much out of they got the Yale tackle and Booker from Kansas. Do we see too much from those guys? The Yale tackle, Ami Gadji. I practiced that before we came on. Ami Gadji. His heralding seems to be, a lot of positive talk around him. Typically coming from a school, an Ivy League school that you don't really see too many NFL products come out of.
Yeah, it seems positive. I think he had an injury to end the season, which I think pushed him downboards a little. But I think generally pretty glowing comments about him coming in the 3rd round. So yeah, and I think, like Joe says, I think it's easy to be a winner when you have 2 top 10 picks, but like Odunze falling in your lap, I don't think many people had him projected to go. I think 9 was about where the maximum he would go. I don't think many people had him going past 9. So the Falcons, spoiler alert, maybe for our picks later, making a bit of a YOLO pick and not going wide receiver. I think if you're the Bears and you offered Williams and Odunze, you would just absolutely take it. No question. It's a real franchise game changer, I think. And I think you touched on this on one of our preview shows as well, Joe. Like, when has a number 1 pick ever had a room of weapons? We were just talking DJ Moore and Keenan Allen at that time. You throw a room of Odunze in that mix, and obviously Cole Kmet as well, a plethora of running backs. It's hard to see. There's not going to be many excuses if he doesn't hit the ground running.
Cool, good stuff. Thanks for that. We kicked off with the Bears. Joe's winner of the draft, or one of the winners. Byron, who looking past the Bears, then who else for you kind of came out on top? Would you say and had a great draft, and you consider a winner of the draft?
I'm going to go as cliche as ever. Who always wins the draft? The Eagles. Obviously, get Quinion Mitchell at 22, which I don't know. It feels like stealing. Once again, like it's not even like he's doing much to win these drafts. Like it just feels like you just get players at great values. And Quinion Mitchell, I don't know why he fell to 22. Obviously, 14 offensive players going to start the draft certainly helps with that. But safe defensive back, such a huge position of need for them. And then Cooper DeJean, who I had going in the first 20. I think I had him going to 16 to Seattle. If Seattle picked 16, I'm not 100% sure. But I had him going to Seattle. To me, he was a first-round player. He went 40. And then I like the picks I made later on as well. Johnny Wilson has, analytically, he should be a hit. Obviously, he goes round 6, pick 185, so you're not really expecting him to be a smash. But they have said they're not moving him to tight end. He can do everything as a wide receiver. And he can. He did. So, a big guy. Certainly going to be a different weapon. Ionis Smith, kind of a yak guy. Another kind of element to that passing attack. Bring in Will Shipley as well. And then they brought in Kendall Milton, who I kind of liked as a running back. Didn't get much use and a bit of a plodder, the thunder to a lightning type. But I just think they strengthened the positions they needed to and got good values across the board. Because it's Philadelphia and that's what they always seem to do. Will it convert to more wins? Probably. I'll certainly address a slide from the end of last year. Maybe they'll end up with a similar win total, but I think they're much improved from where they were in January.
Yeah, that secondary needed work and surgery really, because it just fell apart at the back end.
Yeah,
aging secondary, and yes, they've got two of the top maybe 4 or 5 corners.
Yeah.
At picks 22 and then 40, Mitchell and DeJean. Yeah, I had the Eagles were on my list as well. I think even just from that, I like Shipley as well. To me, I think it was a good pickup. I think they're going to be in a real strong position. They've addressed. They were able to get value and address glaring needs at the same time. So they took that trade with Washington to get to that number 40 slot for Cooper DeJean. Tomato.
I forgot as well to shout out franchise legend Jeremiah Trotter's son, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., which we always love to see a bloodline. We always love to see continuing in a franchise as much as hate to see the Eagles improving. But I just love seeing that.
Nice. We had a lot of juniors flying around in this one, so we'll get to a couple of the others as we go. And there's potentially another one lined up to be the number 1 overall pick next year. Who knows? But I like what the Eagles did. Yeah, they're getting the value and addressing the glaring needs. Which was hamstrung them in the back end of last year and led them to limping out in the wild card round of the playoffs as well as blowing the NFC East. So I think in a real good spot. Joe, your kind of thoughts on the Eagles?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it feels like this year it fell into their laps. We're saying that it feels like that every year, obviously when they got Carter last year and a few others. But it feels like they do like to make the picks, which I've seen another podcast mention that they're just picking what all the generic best draft boards are, so they always win us that way. And does it always work out? That's the question. But no, I think that the biggest need, and they got, like we said, 2 of the top 5 players in that need. So we'll see if that changes their fortunes and see where it goes from there. Because I was expecting them to go offensive line early on, just with Kelsey leaving. But I think when the 2 players who were left, who got the first 2 picks, fell, it was there's no question why you wouldn't go that way. So another great draft for Howie Roseman.
Yeah, and they just seem to navigate their way through the draft and up and down the board. I think just way more effectively than anybody else. Everyone's got this, everyone has the same pool of players to look at. Everyone has the same amount of time to do it, but they just seem to obviously put the work in and just be in a position to kind of work their way up and down the board better than anybody else. Certainly from my perspective over the last kind of 3 years plus, they just seem to do it consistently and get good results out of it, as well as kind of hitting on a lot of the picks as well. So Look,
I think it's that willingness to move up and down.
Yeah.
So many franchises or GMs just like sit on the hands, wait for the pick to come to them, and it's like, I don't know. It feels like a bit of a lazy way to do it. Truthfully, like, you know, if you're going to put the work in and make all those phone calls, and you know, you might get rejected on 17 calls, but that 18th one, you know, you make a move and you end up with a franchise-changing player potentially. Get out what you put in, I think.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair, and yeah, another consistent class, and we'll see. Obviously, always too early to judge it, but you know, this is what we do. This is the game that we're in. Slap a grade on it. We won't do grades. We'll just talk about it. Cool. So Bears check, Eagles check. I might go for one that might not necessarily be considered, but for me, I thought they had another fantastic draft. The champs just got better again. Like, why are the Chiefs so good? Well, they make great picks in the draft is a huge reason why. Time and time again, that you just come away looking at that haul that they've got. You know, especially in, I think there's some kind of instant difference makers. You know, we talked about all year last year who's Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball to. Well, he's now throwing the ball to the guy that's ran the quickest 40 time ever in the NFL. Combine that, does that translate to him being a stud wide receiver? Who knows? But he's got Xavier Worthy, and if someone can make that work, that's going to be Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. You know, I loved Sua Matiata, the BYU tackle, and I didn't see him going that late. He went, what was it, early 60s, 63?
63, yeah. They traded up with the 49ers for him.
Yeah, and you know, late in the second round there.
I think we all had him end of the first round. I don't know if we all mocked him there, but he was certainly in my consideration if I didn't actually put him there.
Yeah, especially with how needy a lot of teams are as well. I certainly didn't see him falling all the way through, you know, the vast majority of the second round as well. Jaden Hicks out of Washington State, I think is a great pick for, you know, that defensive back. You know, again, there's some help they need there with the Snead trade. They also took Haddon out of Tennessee. Yeah. I think they've got a real good, they've covered needs, but also got a lot of value. You know, there's 3 linemen that they took as well. They took Hansen and Nerzad out of Holy Cross and Penn State, and I think they've just plugged a lot of gaps, but also got players that can be difference makers. Yeah, and I don't think, you know, the trade as well, they have to move up to go get Worthy. Why are Buffalo even considering trading with Kansas City?
I do find it funny that the first 2 picks were with Buffalo and San Fran, the 2 teams who like should despise Kansas City more than anybody. Yeah, like.
Did you see what Bill said about it though? And I think when I heard it, I was like, he said, "You just go worry about yourself. Don't try and play tricks."
Yeah, I understand it, but like,
because if Bills didn't want him, then why not? You know, and they didn't have anyone who they really wanted the next few picks, and it's a bit like, why not in terms of helping them out?
Because they've shown they know more than you. Yeah. And spite is a helpful thing. Just spite them.
There's a bit around, if we can take something off them that we can then strengthen, and they don't. But to move up the 4 spots, that I don't think they did take. They didn't really take enough off them to do it. And I know the chart says that you don't really have to give up much to move from 32 to 28, but if you're the Buffalo Bills, that should cost the Chiefs more, and they didn't do it, which is again not on the Chiefs. That's on the Bills, and maybe we'll talk about them later. But for me, I think the Chiefs are just again, you know, it's a real solid draft, and they've addressed needs, and the TCU tight end as well. I think could be a matchup problem. You know, Kelsey's signed a contract for 2 years. He's the, you know, highest paid tight end at $17 million a year for 2 years. But yeah, Jared Will is a real interesting prospect. And again,
it's such a low amount as well.
Yeah.
When you look at what some wide receivers get.
Yes.
Goodness.
Look, you know, but I mean, imagine any part of tight end being paid $17 million. Like, you know, it doesn't happen very often. And, you know, certainly a time where a Titan like Kelsey wouldn't have got anywhere near that money. So, yeah. Good to see him getting paid. But, yeah, I think the Chiefs, you know, the champs have got better. And
it helps that they've managed to hit the last few years as well. I think you just got to trust them. Like, when you look at their defensive backs, I think they're all drafted from the last 2 years. And that's how you stay, Super Bowl contenders. I know you got Patrick Mahomes, but having the team around without having to spend money, and that's when you can let Jadavius Ward go, you can let Snead go without having to pay the big bucks in order to go somewhere else. I'm curious if they'll go for Donovan Smith, if they'll get him back, just because I did like the Kingsley pick. I heard that the Niners did a really want him because it's a bit more of a project, and it might not start straight away. So I wonder if they'll get someone in. They'll get, because Donovan Smith's still a free agent, to get a veteran back in there and help Kingsley, see where he goes further along.
Yeah, I think you're right. Bit project, but I think he could be there. That, like I say, if he put the work in, he could be there for a real long time as kind of a staple of that line. Joe, any more winners? We've talked about the Chiefs, talked about the Bears, talked about the Eagles. There will be more. But any other ones that are kind of shouting out to you as kind of big success stories of the weekend?
Yeah, I've got a couple more. I'll go with who I think had a good draft last year. I think the Steelers have done well again. I think from 2 or 3 years ago that offensive line was an absolute atrocious mess, and they've managed to get got Broderick Jones last year, which looks like to be the best tackle who got drafted last year, and then they've got the first 2 picks, even though it's not it's not the most exciting to go offensive line, but they did what they had to do. Yeah, it's what they do. And they've got 2 quarterbacks who loves to hold the ball, who, that's what their weakness is. So what do you need in that? You need offensive line, which can hold them up. And I think the 2 picks they got as well, I think they got them at the perfect time. Didn't overreach for them. I think everyone expected them to go around that time. And, getting Zach Fraser, who get your centre, because I think you got discussed about them. That centre was their biggest need, and they managed to get him in the second round. It was who I was hoping to would slide a little bit more, and then obviously getting Roman Wilson, and then stopping the slide of Peyton Wilson, which I think if he can stay healthy, they've got an absolute steal again. So I think it feels like a Steelers kind of draft where it's not splashy, it's not amazing, but this is what makes them who they are. And again, it's these teams are in these really good divisions, and it's exciting that there's all the teams I think that have done well within that division. But I really like what the Steelers have done. I think they're help themselves going forward, and if that line can sort itself out, then who knows, Russell Wilson could be throwing, or Justin Fields could be throwing a plenty next year.
Yeah, I think those, the 2 linemen, the tackle for Fautano and Fraser, of shout-outs, I think they got good value in those. But I love the 2 Wilson picks. Roman Wilson, in particular, late on for Michigan last year, was a big factor for them. And I think, obviously, they still need some help at wide receiver. And Peyton Wilson, I think he's such a steal. And obviously, we're concerned over him, but in that Pittsburgh defense, I think he's going to be absolutely incredible. And I think that top 4, they've absolutely smashed out of the park, Pittsburgh there.
Yeah, well, especially they got did they get Patrick Queen? They got the Ravens linebacker.
Yeah, it's Patrick Queen.
Yeah, Patrick Queen. Yeah, so they've redone that linebacker group now. Again, I think especially how good that line was, and build on that linebackers. And again, it's not a linebackers are not the kind of picks where people get excited, but when you look at the best teams or the teams who fall to the end, it's linebackers is such a big position which causes teams to fail. So great picks.
And they were on my list. They were my next winner as well. And I know we're saying about Russell Wilson, Fields have more time to throw the ball as well, but a bit of a fantasy thing here. I don't know which one it'll be. Maybe just take both. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren in that Arthur Smith got the ball offense with boosted O-linemen, I think are going to be, one of them at least will be a good fantasy value. Not really sure which one it'll be, which could be a hindrance, obviously, but I think Najee especially will just be chugging them yards up all season.
Excellent. Byron, then, any other kind of standout winner for you?
I just had one more, and mainly for the first 2 picks, really. Again, which is a bit of a theme, but Terry and Arnold falling enough so the Lions could move up. Lions position of weakness again, defensive back. They've got Ennis Rackstraw in the second round, and Terry and Arnold do. I think a lot of people's corner 1 at 24. Again, I think Brad Holmes just continues to hit out the park. A bit more conventional than last year's draft, which obviously had a bit of, a lot of people doubting what they were doing. Worked out well in the end for them, though, obviously. But I think adding those 2 DBs is just, again, it's that combination of pure need and best player available. It works out really well for them. I just think they've done a great job there.
So the Lions were the bottom of my losers on the draft.
Oh, really? Well, this would be a good transition to losers unless you've got another winner.
Yeah, I have, but let me just talk about it. So, obviously, we all slated the Lions draft last year. What the hell are you doing? That's a team, those are the picks that a team who were on the hill, so close to winning a championship, should be making. Everyone hit, didn't it? Everyone, Gibbs was electric. Brian Branch, Campbell, Laporta, it's almost everything they touched last year turned to gold. Terry and Arnold, great. I'm not too sure about the rest. And taking the tackle from Canada out of British Columbia at 126.
With 2 picks traded up, right?
Yeah.
That was rich.
To take on a project like that, it just seemed odd to me when you still had kind of needs to fill.
I'm not sure they do have many needs to fill.
I think this was luxury picks, but I think this is a little bit of them feeling themselves a bit. You know what? I'll probably be wrong, but I don't know. It just felt odd. I
think you could say it is a luxury pick, but again, we said the same thing last year. I'm not saying that definitely means they're going to be right because that is a stupid philosophy. I do agree. Like trading up there was probably a little rich. Not probably a pick I would have made, especially not giving up. Again, preferred in the 4th, I think, to move up. Right, I don't have the trade terms in front of me, but it was a little much to give up. But I don't mind them taking a swing because I think there's such a I think they're more in a position to be luxurious now than they were last year.
That's fair, yeah. They're in a good position on the line as well, I guess. So you can almost take a swing and a miss, can't you? If that's the way it works out. So I get it, but I don't know. I just felt there was like you got so close, just like make the moves to get you that next step. And so I think some of them are like, oh, we're already at the mountain, we're already at the top. Let's just make a few rogue moves. But like I say, you know what? They could all hit. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. I just felt maybe they might have just been feeling themselves a little bit too much, the Detroit Lions. So. And like I said, they weren't the top. They were the very bottom. It was the last team on my loser list. So it wasn't like
they were way down my loser list. I had them as a winner. So
yeah. I've got a couple of others to shout out. I won't shout them all of them out as well. But I thought the LA Chargers had a real. This was a true statement of intent. We mentioned it on the live stream when they took Joel at 5. But look, this is the team that we're going to be moving forward. The Chargers. But I really like what they did in all. They did address their wide receiver position with three picks, like McConkey that went at 34. I love that pick. He's a bit of a guy that can do everything. Yeah. I think Justin Herbert will be a big fan of Lad McConkey's. Also liked the Brendan Rice pick late. He obviously tumbled.
Get the bloodline.
Tumbled. Got him, and I think he could be a contributor in that game. And Jim Harbaugh got himself a couple of Michigan guys, Cornelius Johnson at the end. But the one I think is going to make the impact is Junior Colson. He was his leader on that defense in Michigan. He's getting the guy he trusts, the guy he knows that can deliver what he wants. Gonna see if he can do it in the big leagues. But I think that's a great pick as well. So yeah, we're a big fan of what the Chargers did in their first draft under Jim Harbaugh. What do you think about what the Chargers did, guys?
Yeah, I'm impressed with it. Yeah. I was going to say, especially the first two. I think the whole thing is, would they've gone wide receiver first pick or offensive tackle? So, and you've got to think of it, if it was flipped, so, let's say they got Neighbors, but what offensive tackle would they have got in the second round? So I think it's just smart drafting that this is probably the best combination in terms of tackle and receiver. And it's a fun Harbaugh start. And yes, again, it's a team. It feels like it's a couple of weeks ago. It's like, oh, what is this team doing? Are they going to be worth watching? Is it going to be some absolute? Everyone's going to feel sorry for Herbert. But like this draft, it feels like at least they give him a chance to entertain and be a fun watch.
Cool, Joe. You've got one more. You've got another winner.
Yeah. And I think I've liked what this team's done all summer, actually. It is the Commanders. I liked what they actually did with the draft. Obviously, getting the quarterback, number 2 pick. I think by the end, again, it was one of them where everyone was expecting Daniels. I don't think there was much discussion he was going to go elsewhere. And he feels like he's got the highest ceiling and the most excitement there. So again, making it work. And I just think everything else they've done and all the other picks, it feels like they've raised their floor with everything they've done. I think it's a sign of a good coach and a good, a new system. And obviously Adam Peters has come from the 49ers as a GM, and what the 49ers did well to begin with was just get loads of players in and just raise the floor and make them a comfortable, a good football team. They might not get the Super Bowl next year, but it helps them with the years going forward. So I just like who they drafted, getting Johnny Newton in the second round, where a lot of people were thinking he could have gone in the end of the first, and getting the cornerback pick 50 as well, Mike Zurin still. I did like that pick as well. I was hoping he would slide down, and obviously getting a tight end in the second round. It feels like they just made some good picks, and obviously getting a McCaffrey brother in the building. If he's anything like his older brother, then they've got absolute steal.
Yeah, all 6 of those picks. They had six picks in the top 100, and I think all 6 of them. All 6 are really, really good. Daniels obviously mentioned, but Newton's, Sam still, Sinnott. I think I really like what he can do. I think he'll be good, very productive for the Commanders. Coleman on that whole line from TCU, and McCaffrey. I think he's going to be sneaky good, and you get him at 100. Real solid on top of what they did in free agency as well. The Commanders are going to be an awful lot better this year than they were last, and should be set for a number of years to come. But it's a good shout that. A couple of ones just to mention for me. I don't want to go into too much detail, but we give them a lot of shit on this show. Atsa thought the New Orleans Saints did a good job, which is a rarity to say for us. But Fuaga at 14, followed up by McKinstry, and then they didn't have another pick for another 110 picks. But McKinstry at 41, I think, is great value. Fuaga is going to be solid. And I think I sort of said this maybe on the live stream. I know we didn't. We saw 6 quarterbacks go in the first 12 picks, and then didn't see another one for another 130 odd. But Spencer Rattler, I think if you can have a year sat behind Derek Carr, I think he can be their quarterback moving forward. And a lot of the stuff came out around. Part of the reason why he kind of slid so long was, I'm sure you'll remember, I don't know if you saw it or heard about it, he was part of the QB1 documentary series on Netflix when he was at 17, 18 in high school, and teams were put off by that. And it's been a long time since then. Rattler did produce for South Carolina in the SEC. Some of his performances at times were incredible, with not a particularly strong team compared to a lot of those other giants in the SEC. So, weirdly, I know it sounds odd, but Spencer Rattler gives me kind of Dak Prescott similar vibes around kind of what he was able to do in college, then kind of come in. Not a lot expected of him. If he gets a chance, though, which could happen, right? Because Carr could just stink and they hand it over and change it and what have you.
Yeah, I mean, they're stuck with Carr financially for 2 years, but if he plays badly or he gets hurt and Rattler comes in, I don't think any team's, just because you're paying someone doesn't mean you're not going to start someone else. And I think, I've seen some people mocking Spencer Rattler a lot earlier, which seemed wild to me. But in the 5th round, you can't go wrong picking a quarterback, I don't think. If they've shown anything in their career at college, I just don't see how you can. The upside is so high that even if you just expect that they're going to fail and you never get anything from it, the 1 out of 100 chance that you get Brock Purdy or you get Dak Prescott is just so rewarding for that rookie contract, and obviously then beyond that. I think you should just take a quarterback and lay every single team. Obviously, then you'd have 32, which is too many. But every team should try and do it. I think whoever you have at starter, just even if it ends up being a backup for 3 games in their career, it's worth what you're going to get from linebacker 40, almost certainly.
And the value of having somebody who can come in as well, like we've seen, again, the rate that these quarterbacks
last year, especially, yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel is it every year these drafts is it going to be these backup quarterbacks you love in Paul? Like last year you had Max Duggan and Stenson Bennett. You
will never see a snap in the NFL. Yeah.
But to never play, you're never wrong.
That's true, actually. Yeah, you can still hold
They
out.
didn't fail.
They might come to the Canadian Football League, so I'll let you know how they get on there.
Oh, don't say that. Right. And the last one, just to shout out the Rams. I thought the Rams did a great job as well. I actually made a first-round pick, which is cool. Nice for Sean McVay to be able to make a first-round pick.
Yeah, I didn't like him baiting everyone through Peter Schrager that he was definitely going to go offense. He probably didn't expect Jared Verse to fall to 19, maybe, but Xavier Worthy backers were not happy.
Yeah, but Verse.
It was a nice draft, though.
Yeah, Ricky. The fifth from Florida State, great at 39. I think, again, somebody you've just had Aaron Donald walk out the door. You need some more help in there. And Blake Corum, Kyron Williams 1-2 punch. I'm there for that. Could be really cool. So, yeah, I think in a good spot. Yeah. Good stuff. The Rams. Let's move on to the losers. We started with Joe last time, didn't we? So, Byron, what about you? Let's start with you for the losers.
Yeah, I think there's a real obvious one to start with. I've got it clipped to go up on our TikTok. Is our reaction to the number 8 overall pick, and it wasn't just number 8 overall pick. Truthfully, I can't believe they went. The Atlanta Falcons is my answer. Sorry. Again, the mix, the Cousins Penix thing is ugly, and it's been covered ad nauseum, but we're here to cover it, so it makes no sense. People have drawn lines to Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers. It's like, they were taken in the 20s to quarterbacks who were probably going to move on soon, not quarterbacks who hadn't taken a snap after signing a $100 million guaranteed contract. It was a luxury pick because it fell to a spot where you can be luxurious with it. Doing it at number 8 on a team like the Falcons who don't have the skins on the wall to be like, hey, we are winners. We know what we're doing. I just think it's insane. I think it's arrogant. I can't understand it. It's been days, and I've not seen anything that's come out to make me change my mind on that.
They're not in a position to be good enough to start succession planning for Kirk Cousins, which is what this is, but also very odd to do that with a soon to be 25-year-old quarterback. So there's a bit there that sort of says, I'm not trying to sell it, but the logic seems to be, look, we're going to be a lot better with Kirk. We've been in that Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke place. Yeah. That's a bad place to be. Yep. Now we're in Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix, which is a much better place to be for sure. But I suppose what this is they're trying to not get stuck in quarterback purgatory.
Absolutely.
By, we're not going to be any worse than 7-10. Probably not going to be any better than 11-6, if that's We're going to be in that chair where we should be pushing to be in the playoffs, or we certainly should be in the playoffs. We should be pushing to win the NFC with the moves that we've made. But even if we have a poor season, we're probably still going to win 7 or 8 games.
Yeah.
So we're never ever going to get back in that position in the next 4 years where we're going to get one of those big quarterbacks. And how many like Kirk Cousins happen in free agency? Not loads. So I get it from that perspective. If you were going to do it, trade down.
Yeah, absolutely. If they traded to 20 and picked up extra capital, picked up a player who can impact this year, I'd still find it weird, but I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, I'm guessing the only issue is from the Falcons' point of view. It was never going to be there at 20.
I understand that, but
even though we probably think none of us even had him in the first round, or the other quarterback going, so it seems to should have gone down 20. It just felt like there was a few teams apparently who tried to move to the top 10, which I think was the Seahawks and Raiders had been calling around. So that probably makes sense, but it still feels a bit rich where it feels like they were like, oh shit, we need a quarterback. Let's get the best available. Let's get Cousins before even thinking about the draft. And then it was like, when they did the draft, it was like, oh, we've actually got, we actually like this kid as well. Let's get him as well. It's just, I don't know. It just feels like lack of planning. It feels like, I think the best nights I've seen it feels like they want to just make the playoffs. And they'll be happy, like, to keep the jobs. They want to like raise the floor, but not really, shoot for the moon and try and be better and try and contend to get a title, because that defense is just not good enough.
Yeah,
Morris might do wonders, and we might be sat here with Penix starting, in the Super Bowl. Who knows? I'm guessing none of us will be guessing that. But it just feels like, it's that weird when they're comparing to Jordan Love and stuff. Like you said, that was way down in the 20s. There's so many, players who get picked in the late 20s where there's not much difference between a low 20 to a player who gets picked in the 30s, 40s. But there should be a big difference. Someone getting picked 8 all. So I think it's just the value of that pick. And raising the floor. But I think we're all shocked from it. And I'm still still a bit confused. I think, like you said, unless they think they've looked at the next few years and thought we're gonna be in the low 20s and there's never going to be anyone as good as Michael Penix there. But I'm not quite sure if that's correct or not.
Yeah,
so
and I don't know if that the comparison there is like right around. It's like the Packers situation, because it's not. It's more like, actually, if the Jets had have taken a quarterback at whatever they were at last year after signing Rodgers, if they'd put Will Levis at whatever 40, where were they, 11, 12, they traded, didn't they? But wherever they were, 14, 15, I can't remember, wherever it was. But if they, if they'd have taken Will Levis there to go, right, well, we know we're only going to have Rodgers for so long. But I don't know, it feels odd, and also it doesn't feel planned, because I feel like you wouldn't have blindsided Kirk Cousins as well.
Yeah,
which is
and obviously and it's going to be an issue. I don't care what anyone says and tries to pay into that. There's I can't remember who it was now, but someone the old Green Bay GM was saying that he had to work with Favre and Rodgers, where they were sat in the QB room looking at the person who's replacing them, and they weren't too happy about that. So, Cousins is going to be the same. He might put a brave face on saying, it doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. But when you're coming back from an injury, and there's, and Penix is going to take all the snaps as well. And I think he's a loser as well, because if he goes how we think it's going to go and Cousins plays 2 or 3 years, then he's not going to get a snap until he's 27, 28, where if he went to the Raiders, he would probably be starting straight away and having his NFL career go in as soon as.
And I think what you've just touched on there is such a good point as well. Penix is going to be taking the snaps in OTAs, because Kirk Cousins is 6 months, I think, to the day, give or take, from his Achilles tearing. Kirk Cousins isn't a young fella. Achilles tear doesn't heal overnight. So how much of Penix is going to play in the off-season, preparing to start the season? When does Cousins come in? Like, if Penix hits the ground running, and he's great because he's an old quarterback, he should be pro-ready, he should be ready to go if he's that old. That could be an ugly transition in itself.
Yeah. And if Cousins has a few bad games, then it's that pressure where, the fans are going to be like, well, we've got a number 8 pick, let's get him in that. If he was just like a third rounder, no one would be like, let's get him in. It'd just be
and
there's Max Duggan.
I know the Penix pick is like the big button of it all, but trading up, giving a 2nd and 3rd round pick to go and get Ruka Cora here ahead of Johnny Newton, I just found I didn't see him pitched in the 1st round at all. I don't think he was a top 50 prospect on anybody's list, whereas Johnny Newton was, mid-20s ish for an awful lot of people. And again, it just seemed like kind of hubris to give up a 2nd and a 3rd. You're not that good of a team to be throwing picks away just to move up six picks, I think it was, roughly. So I think obviously the Penix one is like the big major button, but that one, the D-tackle move, it didn't make sense to me. And then Johnny Newton goes the next pick, which just kind of highlights what an odd move it was.
Yeah, I'm struggling out of that list to go. Yeah, I like them. There's the other one. I think Braylon Trice will be good in the NFL. And they needed some, more kind of outside linebacker and pass rushing help. But I think there's needs again. I think they've got problems in the secondary. Didn't address it. Just a bizarre. I don't think a great night for Atlanta. And I just think you put yourself in a corner you didn't need to be in, when you could have just gone and got the best defensive player. In fact, you could have clearly traded down a few spots and still got the best defensive player, because one didn't go till 15.
And if you have the Seahawks and the Raiders interested, I'm not going to say you can name your price, but you can play the market. It confuses the hell out of me.
Yeah, Good shout. Cool. That's Falcons talk over. Sorry to the Atlanta Falcons UK guys. They seem to have come to terms with it, though. I caught some of their draft review. They've kind of taught themselves into the Penix pick. So, yeah, that's good. They're off the ledge now. Joe, yeah, your biggest loser outside of the Falcons, if it wasn't?
I think I'll leave the team who I don't know if the biggest loser, but I'll leave your team for you guys to discuss. But I'm not the biggest fan of what the Titans did. Really, I think I just don't know. I think the JC Latham one, I know he shot up everyone's board, but it felt like that was the last few days. Suddenly, he got that interest where he looked like he was always like the fourth or fifth best offensive tackle, and I wonder if they were thinking we're going to get Joe getting all giddy, getting the best, and then suddenly oh shit, yeah, we're just going to get whoever next, and I just don't know if they've got that much better. Obviously, getting Sweat with issues I know his issues with the law, and
I can't believe he went in the second round after all that talk.
Yeah, and that could be overblown.
I wouldn't never thought he'd go that high. So even outside of the DUI.
And the Titans have made picks like that in previous years where it hasn't gone well at all. It's not always, but things which are not on the field, they've had a few. I can't remember that. Was he offensive tackle?
Isaiah Wilson, maybe?
Yeah. And I think we're talking about during the draft, when you look at their last few years worth of first round picks, and it's like a horror show. And is this any better? I don't know. I feel like they just chose JC Latham because it's like, oh crap, we'll just choose, the next one. They've probably done a lot more work than what I'm actually saying here, but it just doesn't feel like they've got that much better, and this wasn't really an exciting draft, so I'll choose the Titans probably. And
they've only 2 picks in that top 100 to a tackle who will probably be fine, and then you said T'Vondre Sweat, who 38 overall. I'm stunned that he went so early, and I think he just had bus written all over him.
And it's one of them, when I think, why have they not got that many picks? There's certain teams where, it makes sense why they haven't got that many picks because they've traded and they made but what have the Titans actually done to
what's on that roster?
It was just mind blowing when I was looking through them. I was like, oh, so who knows what they've done, but obviously not done amazing work.
They've got obviously Snead from the Chiefs, but wasn't that a trade for 2025? Am I remembering that right? Maybe it was 2024. Maybe I am remembering it wrong.
Yeah, I can see that because I kind of thought that maybe all would have got to them at 7, and it's just kind of didn't fall that way. But yeah, again, wasn't quite sure on the strategy. A team with a lot of needs, and just kind of the way it worked. Just didn't really see what they were doing to kind of help them. Any others? I've got a couple. One, again, this might be one that might pop it. I really just struggled to understand what the Miami were doing as well. Yeah. They did address some needs, but the players that they took with who were available at the time. So again, kind of that defensive line and the edge rushers in particular just dropped like flies down the back end of the season, and they were just injured. You had Jalen Phillips off an Achilles, Chubb tore an ACL, Van Ginkel went down injured and is now left. And I like Chop Robinson, but I don't know if that's the guy at 21 you should have been taking.
Yeah, it seemed early
to fill that need. It kind of felt that were better. I don't know. Darius Robinson maybe from Missouri, would that have been a better option at 27? I
thought they would have went Graham Barton as well, because they need all-line help as well.
Yeah, and they do need all-line help, and you could have got, I think, better value DNs and rushing later on, and you had to pick some really, really good O-linemen there as well. You mentioned one of them there straight away. Who else was there? So there's Barton, Morgan went after that. Guyton, would that be a reach? Maybe, I don't know. But there was still some O-linemen there you could have taken, or you could have traded down and taken one of those O-line guys, picked up some more capital for the needs that you've got. Patrick Paw at Houston, I think he could, he's a bit of a project. You've got a problem with Armstead being able to stay on the field. And then they were sat on their hands for 70-odd picks because they had to give up a third-round pick.
Yeah. I do like the fit of Jalen Wright, but I mean, he's a running back in the 4th round, but he's just another speedster. Which I think fits their need. It fits their team real well, but when you already have Mostert, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane.
Well, I was going to say, fancy outlook's probably dropped as well for some of them players.
Also, like, are you in a position to be taking another fast running back at 120 when they need, it feels like half a starting lineup on defense and another 4 linemen?
I think they need help in the I think they need help in the secondary as well. They took somebody at 198 from Cal McMorris. Yeah. I think Miami could be in for a very tough season, and the world might be about to turn around on Mike McDaniel and how good of a coach he is. People like to change their minds quite quickly, don't they? But yeah, I think it's just a bit of a mess, really, the draft from Miami, when there was a lot of players that fitted their need that would have made them better. Maybe overthought it a little bit. Any other losers from UT guys?
Not hugely, I must say. I think those were the main ones on my list as well. Pretty uninspiring ones. A lot of people have said about Dallas. I think Dallas was kind of just meat and potatoes. I don't think it was a hit, but I don't think it was like... I don't really care about the running back thing. Like, you can plug a running back in. You can...
Just have done.
Yeah, you've got Zeke. There's going to be free agent casualties in Miles Sanders, maybe Damian Pierce in Houston. Plug one in. It's fine. That's not going to be why Dallas do or do not have a good season.
Yeah. Actually,
there's very few that are game changers.
On that note, actually, let's just talk about that while here.
Sure.
Outside of, if you just forget that Jerry said we're going all in, if you look at that draft class, I think they've actually had a really, really good draft.
I think it's been absolutely fine. Like, I don't think it's a home run. I think it's just fine. Which, when you're picking late in every round, not everyone gets to have Nate Wiggins fall to them. Like,
exactly. Yeah, I've seen it graded as an A. I've seen it graded as a C. Again, we're not hit grading it, but
I like the day two picks. I think
yes.
Nealand and Beebe are good values and good positions of need. Guyton is going to be a bit more projecty. Like, you'd rather not, but like, I would rather take him back and then trade back and get Guyton. But if it's a project that hits, then all's well. I think throughout the rest of the draft, they've taken like positions of need and players at appropriate values. I think everyone got a bit hung up, especially. Again, like, I don't want to be that guy, but like more casual viewers was like, well, they haven't got a running back. It's like, running backs don't matter in the NFL in 2024. Like, it'd be nice to have one, sure, but I'd much rather have guards and tackles than running backs.
Yeah, I would say, like, I'm guessing that also the big thing is the whole thing, like, we're all in. I think that's what's probably like not helped the Cowboys at all. That, it didn't have. If Jerry Jones, you don't have to say that if you're not going to do it. And
speaking of things Jerry Jones doesn't need to say. You don't need to give a fucking positive review of Jonathan Brooks before you even have a chance to draft him. That is one of the stupidest fucking things I've seen in a long time coming out of Dallas. Apart from when Jerry said that he wants to have a glory hole, which apparently means a trophy room, I think.
Yeah.
When he said that we're all in. And then he follows it up with just like, Jonathan Brooks is going to be the best player in this draft. He's great. He's done the best interview we've ever seen, yada, yada, yada. And then the Panthers just go, oh, cool, we'll take him then. That's fine.
I think for me, another spin, not just the draft itself. I just think the other 3 teams in that division have done well. And I'm guessing that's why I file them as losers in terms of the other 3 teams that feel like they've gone up and the Cowboys have probably gone down a little bit, like the whole offseason, like who they've lost and who they have not managed to get in. That they've probably like dropped a little bit and all the teams have got better. So I think it's going to be tough, especially that offensive line. I think, like you said, guys, a project, will they play? If not, then it's who they're going to get into, cover the center, cover, positions.
I think they're in a position because I think actually you'll see Bebe, guys play for United. Bebe, I think he's
Justin Bieber cover.
Yeah, I think actually that's your center. So I think he will be the starting center for the Cowboys.
Hopefully he's a better prospect than Bebe for United as well.
Yeah.
I was figuring they'll probably still look for a running back and put Zeke at center.
Maybe we've tried. He's got a whole one snap experience.
That's how he finished.
Yeah. Well, he snapped the ball well. But I think he's going to end up being your starting center for now, unless they find somebody. And if he takes that role, I think you're hoping that Guyton, and then you can decide what to do with Tyler Smith and which way you work those guys around. With Martin, and also Louis Fau, I think is going to be awesome. The problem is Cowboys have had kind of these linebackers who struggled with injuries, who have been really, really good players. Sean Lee, Jalen Smith, Van Der Esch, but they just need somebody who can just stay on the fucking field at linebacker, and this could be the guy. I think he's going to be really productive. Carson from Wake Forest, I think, again, it wasn't a huge need corner. I think you're in a position now where, unless you can get Gilmore back on a very team-friendly deal, you don't need to. And we'll see. And I think, I think Justin Rogers, the D-tackle from Auburn, 7th round is really good value. I think you might actually see him. And don't forget the 4th round pick out of this draft is Trey Lance, who we might be seeing an awful lot more of in 12 months' time.
Yeah. Or maybe during the season, because, if I'm Dak Prescott, I'm not really going to push myself through injury.
Yeah, we'll see. Right. Last couple for me for losers. I don't think I've mentioned all these yet. I thought you two guys have covered the Falcons and who was the other one? I forgot.
Titans, and you went Dolphins, to be fair.
Oh, Dolphins, yeah. Sorry. My memory's terrible.
Dolphins.
The Browns still paying for the Deshaun Watson trade.
I was going to say, is that a winner or loser? Because now it's finally finished. So,
yeah, I mean, at this point, it's terrible, isn't it? And we talked about how bad that Russell Wilson trade was. Is this one's surely worse, right?
Yeah, at this point.
And you can still say maybe it's still a work in progress. I did like one of the picks. So Zinter 85 for the Browns. I thought it was good out of Michigan. Michael Hall Jr. confused me at 50 odd, 54.
Yeah, first pick,
yeah. I didn't understand that again with what was available on the board at the time. I don't know if they're going to be able to kind of plaster over again this year. Feels like things are going to get worse before they're going to get better for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, and it's felt like that for a few years, to be fair, and they've done well to coach themselves out of that a little. Like, they've outperformed a little, I think, what they've got, but, defense can fall off year to year, even with elite players, so they really need Watson to step up this year, obviously that trade's going to struggle to ever look like a success short of a Lombardi. But, he really needs to step up for it to not be essentially the worst trade of all time. And he hasn't looked like he's had it in him yet. So, I did like Jamari Thrash. His numbers popped a little bit in the pre-draft process, a wide receiver. And he has a great name. The kind of name I want to see succeed in the NFL.
And I'm guessing, what helps these GMs to like the Browns, and, speaking with 49ers with the Trey Lance trade, is that they're still kept relevant, so that player helps them keep their job. That it's some of these trades, if they're tanked and they're one of the worst teams and they still didn't have the pick, then they would be out the door and see you later. But the fact that these teams have managed to actually stay still competitive and still there, it's probably helped them that sense. I've got a couple more losers, if that's it. So I think one of them, I actually like what they did, but when you actually read what they gave up, it's what the Vikings gave up for Turner. And it's one of them things where what they did on the night, but they also traded to get the pick from the Houston to start with. Yeah. So they get, they've given up. What did they give up? So they gave up a 2nd and a 6th next year. And then they also traded up again for the Jacksonville and gave their 3rd and 4th selection for next year. So they're essentially giving up a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th next year for Turner to move up to that spot. And I think Turner's a good player, and I think they've done well in terms of getting that defense better. But, that's quite a lot if they just did that in the draft. If it was they've traded all them picks just for one player. It's quite a lot. I think you'll notice next year when we're looking at the Vikings have only drafted two players. Because what they did last year. And then my other loser, I think the Panthers gave up quite a lot for what they actually got. I think going up for I think Leggett is a good wide receiver, but he feels like he's similar to Mingo. And you want difference wide receivers.
Especially when the comparison is Mingo.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not worked out. And then going up again getting a good running back where, Jerry Jones is saying is the best player in the draft.
Don't tell you what Jerry says.
But it's just quite a lot when is running back their biggest need with everything else going on and the trading away assets. But they're helping Bryce Young, so at least they're trying. But I don't know if they just gave a bit too much capital for what they got back. Well,
for me actually, I'm looking at the Panthers draft as a plus, especially for them on offense. They've just got Bright, Leggett, Brooks for that. I know he's coming off the ACL, but also Jatavion Sanders, I think, can be a game-changing tight end for them and help Bryce out. Very, very quarterback-friendly tight end. So, yeah. Other one for me, I just thought was just shout as a loser was the Denver Broncos. There's still a mix of what they've had to give up to get Sean Payton in this draft. Some of these picks as well. So, but yeah, Bo Nix might turn out to be good. I actually think he might be all right in the end, but not at 12. Troy Franklin dropped. I think that could be a good value at 102. That's kind of it, really.
Him and Mims there.
Yeah.
Byron's new favorite.
I do like when the quarterback and the wide receiver go together, though. I don't know what the hit rate on that is. I just like it as a narrative. I was kind of stunned. Troy Franklin fell to 102. Yeah, I didn't hate Denver's, but yeah, nothing to be excited about, really.
Cool. So, chaps, I posed the question at the start. You're going to have the opportunity to change your minds up until we do our betting season preview, which will be the week before the season starts. Right now, after free agency, after the draft, what's your Super Bowl 59 matchup going to be right now? Byron, do you want to go first?
Sure, I have mine up. I have kind of 3 on my sheet, but I'll pick one.
Yeah, one. That's all I asked for.
Yep. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions over the Houston Texans.
What? You've got the one I was going to go for.
Are you serious? I thought you were giving me a what because what are you doing?
No, I was like, I'll go for some a bit exciting, not go chalk and cheese. Let's go for like a fun Super Bowl. And that's the exact one I was going to go.
110 to 1 with DraftKings. You might get better elsewhere.
Interesting. Okay, so Joe, we know yours as well. Have you got Joe?
I'll go for something a bit different. I don't really want to go Chiefs, but I feel like the Chiefs are going to get there again. Let's go Packers and Chiefs.
God damn it.
What, are we just on a steal your pick daisy chain here?
Yeah, mine was Packers Chiefs. Oh, what is going on? Byron, what have you done?
We're throwing chaos into the...
Yeah, I like Packers. I think I really like Packers to win the NFC. I just think that, they're only now 8-1 to win the NFC. You fucker, Joe. Yeah, they're only 8-1 to win the to win the NFC. I think they were at one point when we had a look at after the Super Bowl, 22-1 to win the Super Bowl. I think that's come in now. My screen's just broke, which is really
they're 19-1 on DraftKings.
Yeah, 18.
And Packers over the Chiefs is 80-1.
Yeah, I like Packers. So I like Packers Chiefs Super Bowl matchup, but with the Chiefs to win and to three-peat. So
that is 60-1.
Yeah. But yeah, well, only other one then would be a boring Niners Chiefs repeat, and we have that for the third time in 5 years or 6 years.
25 and 30-1, depending on who you want to win. My other one I was tempted with, since we've all thrown out a couple there. I don't know if Joe did actually. Paul maybe just wrote 12. I've got the Eagles to beat the Texans as well, 140-1, and Eagles over the Chiefs, 65-1. Again, the Eagles can't be as bad as they were to end last season. That is such a well-stacked team. I know Kelsey's left, but they prepared for it over the years. Cam Jurgens is going to go to centre.
I'll throw another one out while I'm there as well. I don't know what the odds are, but why not? Let's go Rams-Bengals and then a repeat of a Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I feel like if Joey Burrows, if Burrows is there, then I think they're a team who's probably got one of the biggest chances just because how electric their offense is, and I feel like the Rams are going to be good again, and I think they've sneakily got better on that defense, which was their Achilles heel. So let's go Rams-Bengals.
The Bengals obviously got some problems, and we'll probably talk about. They've got one away players they need to fix in Hendrickson and T. Higgins. So.
Yeah, I think that time has passed, lads. I think the time for trades was the 2024 NFL draft. I don't think the Bengals are signing off on a trade because there's no need to.
Yeah.
I don't know who you had winning that, Joe, but Bengals over the Rams is 250-1. Rams over Bengals 350-1.
Oof, there you go.
Thanks.
See you in retirement in February.
Yeah. Right, let's wrap it up. Appreciate you as always. That was our 2024 NFL Draft Winners and Losers episode. We're going to be back with one of two things, but I think the way it's looking, it's going to be the GOATS draft. greatest of all time draft will be next week. So that should be fun. It'll be obviously us three and potentially a guest or two that we still need to work on and get in. But that should be fun as our draft series continues. And there'll be a fair few more of them now as we are now post-draft, because there's only so much draft analysis we can do. But thanks for joining us. As always, give us a follow. Good Teams with Great Teams cover over on Spotify, GTW_GTC on Twitter, X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, where Byron will be posting lots of lovely clips over the next couple of days, I'm sure.
Indeed.
Chaps, it's been a pleasure as always. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Cheers.
Cheers, Bob.